We have cleared our technical difficulty. We'll be live in about 30 seconds. Does anybody have the score of the North Carolina game? We are back live now, and we'll continue with our consent items. Consent items, only one item on the agenda tonight, item 6, TMP 26861. Any questions or comments from commissioners on this item? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion on our consent items.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of item 6, TMP 26861.
Motion on the floor for approval. Please cast your vote. And that has passed.
That is final action.
One motion, one vote items. The following are items that may be considered in one motion or one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearing and non-public hearing items will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, staff requests that items 7 and 8, WVR 26441 and VAC 26443, be pulled off of one motion, one vote, as we expect there to be members of the public in attendance who would like to discuss these applications.
Thank you. We'll pull items 7 and 8. Item 9, VAC 26793, applicant owner City of Las Vegas, petition to vacate a portion of Giuliano Road and a portion of Azure Way, generally located on the south half of Durango Drive and Giuliano Road. Item 10, SDR 26815, applicant Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, owner City of Las Vegas, for a 2.43-acre, 141-space park and ride facility adjacent to the west side of Durango Drive at Westcliff. These are one motion, one vote, open for public hearing. Any comments or questions on the items? Seeing none, we'll close the items. I'll have to make one disclosure. I work for Veolia Transportation, which is the contractor to the Regional Transportation Commission, but this does not benefit my company in any way. So, Mr. Attorney, I think I feel comfortable with voting on this item.
That's fine.
Thank you. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll take a motion on one motion, one vote items.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the one motion, one vote items, subject to all staff's conditions.
Motion's on the floor for approval. Please cast your votes. That motion has passed.
Item 9 goes forward to City Council on May 7th, and item 10 is final action in the absence of an appeal to the office of the City Clerk within 10 days.
We'll open item 7, WVR 26441, applicant owner Corestone LLC, waiver of Title 18.12.130 to allow First Street to terminate in a dead end where a cul-de-sac is required at the southeast corner of First Street and Boulder Avenue. Related item number 8, VAC 26443, petition to vacate Boulder Avenue between First Street and Casino Center Boulevard, the alley generally located at the northwest corner of Boulder Avenue and Casino Center Boulevard, and a portion of the west side of Casino Center Boulevard located between Coolidge Avenue and Boulder Avenue, Ward 3, Reese.
Mr. Chairman, before you have the staff presentation, I believe the applicant is a business partner of Enrique Tinoco, who is a personal friend and who I have a business relationship with, so I will be abstaining on these items. Thank you.
So noted. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, this item was held in abeyance to allow the applicant to meet with the surrounding property owners in order to work out issues. The items are in order, and staff does recommend approval of both items.
Thank you. Applicant, good evening.
Good evening. Wesley Miles Isbett, 107 East Charleston Boulevard. We are back again to request a vacation of a portion of East Boulder, and I would like to put a map up here, if you guys can come up on this map here. And we are requesting the vacation from this point through these points, including the areas up in here that are marked. We were before you about a month ago. There was issues and questions that were asked that were not answered to the Commission's satisfaction. I'm here today to hopefully answer any of those questions and proceed forward with this vacation.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience for or against this item? Please come forward at this time. There are 2 microphones there, so feel free to occupy both microphones.
Should I leave this up?
Please. Sir, please state your name and address.
My name is Jack Solomon. I am a person who has a business at 1 East Charleston, and I own a lot of property in the Arts District. I've been very active the last 6 years that I've been in this town, and I'm opposing the motion. I met this afternoon with Mr. Barnett Lieberman, who is a partner with the Las Vegas Land Partners, who owns 40% of that. The other 60% is owned by Forest City, one of the biggest developers in America. And he prepared a letter, and I'd like to read it to you because I support it. Ladies and gentlemen of the Las Vegas Planning Commission, the undersigned Las Vegas Land Partners is a major property owner and participant in the redevelopment of downtown Las Vegas. One of the parcels we own and are about to redevelop is approximately 2.8 acres in the Las Vegas Arts District at 3rd Street and Charleston Boulevard. Our development will encompass approximately 1,000 live-work apartments, commercial and retail space, and a parking facility capable of handling 1,500 cars. Our development is only a few feet from the east end of Boulder Avenue, and we have relied upon the accessibility to this public cultural amenity. As you know, Boulder Avenue was scheduled to be the site of a sculpture park to contain the Agam sculpture on the west portion of Boulder Avenue between Main and 1st Street. It has always been our understanding that the balance of Boulder Avenue, going east from 1st Street to Casino Center, was planned to continue the sculpture park, and that was the site of it will be the site of future world-class sculptures. Such an amenity adds significant value to the Las Vegas Arts District, to the entire downtown, to the entire city of Las Vegas, and to the value and high public perception of our redevelopment project. If approved, VAC 26443 would allow for the vacation of that portion of Boulder Avenue between 1st and Casino Boulevard. The applicant has not attached any plans for development of the vacated right-of-way, nor does the city have any concrete assurance that the vacated right-of-way will remain open to pedestrian access. Although there is some suggestion in the staff memo that the applicant cannot erect although there is some suggestion in the staff memo that the applicant cannot erect potential impeding access through the construction of buildings, etc. Once this property is owned privately, the city has severely limited its ability to control the preservation of a very important cultural amenity and necessary impediments to the redevelopment of downtown. During the process of creating our development plans for our property in the area, we have substantially relied upon not only the existence of the artistic feature, but also the very important free-flowing pedestrian access element. If this application is approved, the future of a world-class sculpture park open to the public is virtually doomed. In order to install sculptures of great artistic significance, the Arts District needs the availability of all land that now constitutes Boulder Avenue. Guaranteeing such access requires the city to maintain ownership of Boulder Avenue or to give it to a nonprofit, the right-of-way. Vacation of this right-of-way is not in the public interest, nor is it in furtherance of any public good. For these reasons, I wish to add our voice in opposition to the city deeding Boulder Avenue in whole or in part to private ownership.
Thank you very much.
I would like to add that in terms of my property, I feel the same way. I think giving this away, this has really always been planned. I have the original city.
Well, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up. You're well past the time limit.
Well,
I've indulged you enough to read the letter and continue, so I need to give other folks opportunity as well. So I'll give you about another minute
okay.
to summarize and wrap it up.
I think that the city of Las Vegas needs this sculpture park. The sculpture park will give great value to the entire city and certainly to the Arts District. It's the jewel. And to give away the land to private developers, it doesn't serve us. We need to have this sculpture park. I would like to have it for all the buildings that I'm doing, and so would the other developers. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roger Drum, 3200 Beamery Court, North Las Vegas. I'm the owner of Number 1 Charleston, or the S2 Art Building. I've had several meetings with city staff in regard to the I guess I should ask a question. Which item were we hearing? Are we hearing the very first item, or both at the same time?
Well, we're here at 7.
You want me to do both, or do you want me to do one at a time?
We're doing 7.
Okay, separately. So the first item is not the vacation of Boulder.
Well, you can speak to both. We open both.
You open
7
both?
and 8.
Okay,
Yes. Go ahead.
so speaking to both, the very first item is the cul-de-sac and requirement for a cul-de-sac. I oppose that. Oppose the elimination of the cul-de-sac. I oppose it on the grounds of that I did before, and that is the access for Nevada Power to maintain their high lines. There's a fire hydrant on the north east corner of that intersection that would stand as secondary fire service, and you can ask Ozzie, your city staff. And Nevada Power needs to have the requirement to have a turnaround of 80 foot for reasons of 80 foot, for reasons of having a crane and bucket trucks to handle the maintenance on the high lines. Also, trash trucks. The last meeting that we had, I think you brought up the fact that I would have access off of Main Street for service or backup service to the Number 1 Charleston building. I do not. Republic Service has denied me to pick up the trash off of Main Street, because if they drive in and they time and empty the canisters, they would have to back out into traffic, which is against the law and against your franchise agreement with Republic Service. So the need for at this time, not saying that in the future it would change, the need at this time for an 80-foot turnaround at the end of that street is paramount, because the trash, Nevada Power, maintenance of the high lines, all the other services in there, from telephone to all the other utilities such as gas and fire. If we were to leave that 80-foot cul-de-sac and make it a limited access, I wouldn't be opposed to limited access. We could decorate it and make it a nice cul-de-sac. But the need for a cul-de-sac there, by all the utilities that I've talked to, and that's Patricia Brown, Nevada Power, and all the other entities, they're requiring and going to require that 80-foot turnaround for fire trucks and et cetera. So that, on the first issue.
No.
On the second issue, I'm opposed to that. And the reason I'm opposed to that is on the very first agreement that we had with Jorge Cervantes in dealing with the closure of this street and making a temporary traffic or an adjusted traffic, putting in bollards and leaving access for security, for safety vehicles, service vehicles, and the like, would keep a lot of things away from us and cure a lot of problems. Bank of America wouldn't have a problem with me and with my loan and accessibility as far as fire service to the building. The insurance company, Hartford, wouldn't have a problem with that condition. So
I have to ask you to wrap it up.
yeah. As far as the vacation, I'm opposed to that because it wasn't part of the original deal that it was presented to me on the drawings that were originally submitted for the complete street all the way from Main Street through to Casino Center.
Okay.
And I would respectfully oppose both issues.
Okay, thank you very much. I just looked at the notes here from Public Works, and Public Works supports that, so I'm confident that they've looked at all the radiuses and things as well.
Nobody has talked to the utility companies. I'm the
Okay,
only one
but-
that's talked to them.
Okay. That's-
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak for or against this item? Is there anybody else in the audience seated? You need to come forward at this time. We have 2 microphones. Sir, you have about 3 minutes.
I'll take less.
Name and address.
Dick Geyer, 8260 Hilton Head Court, president of 18B, the Las Vegas Arts District Neighborhood Association. Speaking to the second item, the vacation, not the first item, the closure of First, what have you. We did discuss this at our board meeting last week. We showed a variety of drawings, the original
Just put them right down there.
the original plan,
perfect.
which they were somewhat familiar with, and we did take a vote on the vacation, understanding that it would be kept as a park with this exception of the intrusion of the Tinoco's Bar, which is very, very far to the east, just almost adjacent to where Casino Center now is, and would therefore not impede the view or the access into the Sculpture Park. The vote was 8-4, 0 against with 2 abstentions. It is my belief that we will be able to control this park, and that the private owners at this time will, in time, cede this area of the street, the vacation that we're talking about, to the Sculpture Park Board of Directors to maintain into perpetuity, but we don't have an official document to show you tonight. Thank you.
So you're in support?
Very much in support,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir.
Yes, sir.
George Bergman, 3112 Pier Harbor Drive.
Excuse me. Sir, could I ask you to leave that up there for a second? Thank you. We'll give it to you at the end of the item.
I am the president of the Sculpture Park Board of Directors, and the Sculpture Park Board hasn't had a chance to review the documents that have been provided that talk about the vacation of the street and then the subsequent donation of that vacation minus the piece of the bar that will go into that vacation area. They haven't had a chance to review it and see what it's about, but our understanding is that that's going to be donated to be part of the Sculpture Park with whatever conditions are attached in terms of public works and different city requirements. And we're going to look at it, vote on it as a board to see if we support it or not. But in principle, from at least my personal point of view, it seems like a very generous offer to take the Sculpture Park from half the street, possibly leaving some turnaround in the center, and then continuing it down the way. It makes it a bigger Sculpture Park, more opportunity to put more things in it than we would have before. And based on the original renderings, that was our intent when we first put the board together and started talking about this project. So I can't represent the Sculpture Park Board and say that we support it until we actually vote on it, but from my point of view, it seems like it's a very positive thing that makes a bigger pedestrian space, a bigger public space for art in downtown Las Vegas.
So if you're you're on the Sculpture Park Board,
I'm the president, yes.
okay, and this has been held a couple times, why wouldn't the board weigh in on this issue?
We are going to be...
Why wouldn't you have, obviously you've had a lot of meetings, why wouldn't they take...
We haven't had a meeting since enough documentation was presented to us regarding the vacation, regarding the donation to the Sculpture Park until about a week ago. And so that's why I'm calling a meeting for next week. Then we will vote on it after everyone's had a chance to review it. I can't represent the Sculpture Park Board without having a vote, so
Well,
I'm not trying to do that.
Well, the thing is, we've been dealing with this item, we've held this, so there's been ample time to look at all the documentation and everything, I would say. But I hear your comments, and if you have anything else you need to say?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to comment on the item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Questions or comments from the board?
I do, Mr. Chairman. You obviously, the Arts District members have had numerous meetings, staff's had numerous meetings. The board's had a couple meetings, apparently, over the sculpture. Usually you're in here together, all on the same page. And
This is a rarity.
I understand that you're all have been very much involved in this, and I will disclose that I do own property within the Arts District, but not anywhere near this, not within the notice area, and I'm confused by this, because I went through the backup in detail from our last meeting, and to be honest with you, I see a picture, I see a half sketch. I would think for all the effort that's gone into this, a comprehensive, detailed presentation to this board would be the bare minimum we could expect.
I can give that to you right now if you'd like.
Explaining the radius, the terminus.
I can explain. I have that all with me if you'd like to hear it right
finishes,
now.
all of those things. Discuss the agreements that need to be in place. I've gone through this backup, and I got to tell you, it's half a picture, and it's like, why are we getting half a picture here on something that is so complicated, so important to the city, and is a significant piece of land that if we make a wrong decision here, we might just be throwing this whole project away. So I have concerns with that. So
More questions or comments from the board?
Can I respond to that?
Seeing none, we'll let you have a couple moments to respond.
I appreciate that, and we believed that this was a fairly straightforward situation, which is probably what you're seeing as the lack of documentation. I would like to very quickly put this map here up, and this map shows, and we can concentrate on this area right in here. Okay, this is an 18-wheeler. Okay, what is termed as the 18-wheeler, which is a double, I guess, truck. A larger truck than anyone has ever seen or believes will be pulling into these properties. And what I'm... Okay. And this shows how there are two versions. There is the version off of Main Street and the version off of First Street, which shows access, how a 18-wheeler would make its route in and out of the access to the S2 lot. And
Take us through it.
here's our red vehicle moving in, coming up, backing down, and then going out on First Street. Here is a truck coming on First Street, coming in, pulling in, and backing in, and then pulling out.
That's an 18-wheeler?
That's an 18-wheeler. Now, I have a drawing here of what a standard size, what would be considered like a large UPS truck. And I'm going to show you this one here, which I apologize, it's in black and white here. And basically, you see the smaller size vehicle here. Is that upside down again? Did I get it right?
No, you're fine.
Okay. And it basically just shows how it does not need to even come into this area at all to back up. But it basically shows how you can come off of Main, pull in, pull out on First, back. That access is not being denied or restricted in any manner for any of the utilities. The wide swath here shows a fire lane that would be required by any type of emergency vehicle. Now, I'd like to back up and state that from the very beginning, we have stated, and we are working towards the legal documents with our attorneys, with the city staff, that our plan, our goal, is to execute the original plan. I'm going to back that up with, long before this was ever thought about, on this particular parcel of land that is going to be the Urban Lounge, I installed 5 pieces of public art. I got in trouble for one of them, and the end result of that was taking liability, and the city, he's selling me the piece. So my track record for well over 10 years has been installation of public art. I sit here today before you to tell you that we plan to make this the original plaza design. We do not plan to deviate from any public access. We encourage development. We have been consistent all along. So based on our beginnings, our consistency, our willing to put it in legal document form, we didn't feel that we needed a very large presentation because we as the private sector are going to execute what the public sector was unable to do. I explained at the last meeting there was a grant from the sale of the BLM land, SNPLM I think is the acronym for that we believed was going to cover the entire plaza. The amount of money and everything, it was restricted to only being able to do this portion of the plaza. We, as the private sector, are going to come in and finish the rest of the plaza. We can produce you can add any restriction you wish to us. We have every intention on doing it, and we do not understand why anyone would not want this to facilitate.
But how are you going to control I'm seeing diesel trucks queued up to try to pull in and back. How are you going to control trucks that come through there, the pulling in and the backing up?
Well, you have to ask the business owner that occupies the business. I mean, when you say diesel trucks, this is an open area. This is the standard street. It's the standard street through here. It would be the same as it is today. There's no difference from where they queue and how they stream. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't understand.
So,
our vacation ends here.
Right.
Okay? It does not restrict any access in any manner to these properties. It does not affect them, unless I'm unaware. The fire access stays the same. The delivery access.
So you're just showing they have the accessibility to get in there and deliver and get out.
And
so you're not.
And for any insurance company, property owner, bank loan, anything, here is it's unrestricted. They have a total use. Now that aside, we're really trying to do a very civic thing here and put our dollars. At the end of the day, it helps our developments. We're art friendly. We want to be public friendly. Our project is based really on the RTC stop, which is coming up here up on Casino Center. I heard the letter from Barnett Lieberman, and I don't understand how he thinks we're going to restrict the access. We're here today to state that every access. Now, we have suggested, and we wrote a MOU to Mr. Solomon after having our attorneys looking forth, and this is what we plan to present to the Sculpture Park Association. And on this map here, on this map here, okay, our urban lounge is this area here, and due to the flood control restrictions, the handicap ramp size, our 65-foot plus handicap ramp, we need to come out about 25 feet into the Boulder corridor. Okay, so we are suggesting that on that area that we retain at the end of this entire process, not just with the Planning Commission, City Council, but with the Sculpture Park Association, that we retain 25 feet on this side, 25 feet on this side, and we donate with a maintenance agreement, meaning we will come back after the fact, and if the Sculpture Park Association does not have the funds to improve this, we will donate the funds to improve it to the original plan. Okay, we're not trying to redesign, we're not trying to put our thumbprint on the pedestrian plaza. In the rest of the Boulder, we are suggesting a 15-foot area on both sides, leaving a 50-foot corridor. Once again, you deed it, not easement, deeded to the Sculpture Park Association with the promise of Any funds that they are unable to do to execute, we will execute. We will execute it because it's in our best interest to execute it. The plaza helps our developments. It brings the pedestrians that we all dearly want. I hope I can make very clear that our motives for this vacation benefit us, which in turn benefits the public. I would like just to further say that my background, my history, long past anyone in this room, has been to put up and donate public art. I stand behind my history.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from the board? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carolyn Solomon. I live at 2870 Augusta Drive.
Well, we've closed the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had asked if anybody had questions, and you gave Wes quite a long time to make his explanation, which I think is really more confusing than explanatory.
Ma'am, we have closed the public hearing. The applicant has the opportunity to rebut, and he has done that. So any more questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on item 7.
Mr. Chairman, as much as I want this project to go forward, I think it's the sculpture park. I'm having a real hard time understanding this. We've got to give it to these guys so this corporation can have control, so this guys can make another agreement here. To me, if the city was going to support this, at the very minimum, at the end of the day, as part of this project, I think the property owners should put up a performance bond for the full price of completion of the improvements. Because I can tell you the way this sounds, and nothing against Mr. Isbett here, it sounds like all good things, but it's confusing. We've got power line easements. At the end of the day, I can tell you, I think we'll wind up with vacating a piece of street, some project not going forward, money's not being available, turnaround in the economy, funds here, and we will be sitting there with something dramatically less, but yet we would have transferred ownership of property, and everybody would be down here for a review of conditions, something quietly will slip through the system, and the city of Las Vegas will wind up stuck in every way, shape, or form. And I know everybody is meaning well, and some people may not want to hear this is the wrong way to accomplish what everybody wants to accomplish at this street. So, based on that, I would make a motion for denial.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Public Works,
Public
Bart
Works?
Anderson.
Yes, Bart.
I would like to just mention that, as the applicant had indicated, the original plan was for the city to improve the entire corridor. However, for a number of reasons, chiefly monetary, we don't have the funds at this time to do so, and we won't for the foreseeable future. What we will do, the reduced, if I may, if this works, this is what the city is prepared to construct right now, and
Without
the sculpture, of course. This is what we have the funds for. This is what our design is for. I have the construction drawings. This is all that the city is prepared to build. Now, when the applicant had come to meet with us, they represented that they could construct the balance of it more quickly than we can. And I can tell you that I cannot give you any kind of date on when the city would be able to complete this. I'm not advocating for the applicant. Please don't interpret it that way. But if you think that the city will be constructing the balance of this anytime soon, we will not.
Can you point to the balance on the map?
All of this here.
Okay.
To distinguish between the two, if you can see.
The balance is going to match the other side, I would.
That's what the applicant has represented.
That's what our plan is.
Their plan is to construct the original plan with a little bit of an intrusion here for the urban lounge, which Public Works, by the way, is in favor of. And if you do choose not to vacate this half, if you will, we would encourage you to consider at least vacating the portion necessary for the urban lounge. They do have an encroachment agreement that allows them to construct and occupy, but we'd really just assume not own the property underneath the building. And we are in favor of allowing that portion of the vacation to record, even if the balance does not. But you see the difference. This is what the city cannot construct, and we have no plan to do so anytime soon. If the applicant and the private sector can come in and do that, it might get done more quickly than we can. But again, I'm not advocating either way. I'm just trying to let you know that the city won't be constructing it anytime soon.
Now, on the map that's completed all the way through, do you see where the little, look like pylons are? Can you point to those? Go up a little more, right there. Does any traffic come between those?
In the original plan, this is First Street.
Correct,
In
okay.
between those pylons is First Street. Now, this vacation application before you today excludes all of First Street up to the properties on the south side. So First Street would remain a public street all the way to there, granting public access. We have reviewed the documents that the applicant has presented, and we concur that it looks like the access will be substantially the same as that enjoyed once the sculpture park is built. Now, right now, First Street is, or not First Street, but Boulder is open to Main. Vehicles will be using that. Once the sculpture garden is constructed, that will no longer be the case, and the access will be substantially the same whether the vacation occurs or not. But the vacation, again, the original plan was to vacate the entire, or at least to eliminate
But once
access.
completed, will traffic be moving through that little portion there?
Delivery traffic, vehicular traffic, emergency traffic, yes.
Okay, so somebody on vacation sightseeing, will they go through there?
They could, certainly. There will be a sidewalk connecting here and a driveway in there servicing the building that has the delivery bays.
Gotcha, okay.
Which I stated at the first.
Yeah, and Public
session.
Works is...
I believe it's a mistake to allow vehicular traffic to go through a public plaza like that unless you have a desire to take people out. But I guess...
But we do want to preserve access for those who currently have it, and that's certainly in the best interests of the public, and that's why the city is representing it.
So and I understand what Mr. Anderson's saying with regards to the funds the city have in place today. But I think we've heard more comments about the problems with this design, the problem with what's before us, and when we voted for the Agam sculpture site, I was in the impression all of these global issues were resolved, and now we're to a point down the road. Economy's a little different, 17 high-rise developers aren't showing up tomorrow. The tax base is affected by certain things. But we're sitting here, and the solution that's being presented, to me, is making it halfway worse than what we thought we were going to have. And that concerns me. I don't want to sit up here and say, I voted for something, and 5 years from now, we don't have the sculpture, we've got a park, we don't have this finished. Something changes. I understand you say
We're
you're...
willing to accept whatever legal demands you'd like to make on us for execution. Our plan is to execute. We have no reason to deviate, and whatever condition needs to be placed to prove that we're honest people and will condition, in case we die, God forbid, that it will execute. I mean, we're willing to accept all that. Our plan is to execute it. I mean, I can't make that plain enough.
There was a motion on the floor, I believe, made by Commissioner Truesdale for denial on item 7. Let's go ahead and vote on that motion, see where we go from there. Motion's on the floor. Your yes vote will be for denial of item 7. Please cast your vote. And that item has passed for denial of item 7. Item 8.
With regards to item 8, motions for denial.
Motions for denial on item 8. Yes vote will be for denial. Please cast your vote. And that motion has passed for denial.
Both matters go forward to the City Council on May 7th.
I'm sorry, what was that date?
May 7th. We're going to move to item 11, our public hearing items. Item 11 is VAR 26385, applicant owner Brent and Gary Levitt to allow 37 parking spaces where 41 are required for proposed commercial development at 4077 West Charleston Boulevard. Related items 12 and 13. Item 12, SUP 26383, applicant owner Brent Levitt for a proposed 3,000 square foot pawn shop and waiver to allow a 100-foot distance separation from another specified financial institution where 1,000 feet is required. Item 13, SDR 26386, applicant owner Brent and Gary Levitt for a proposed 10,000 square foot retail office development. Staff?
Because
The applicant present? Is the applicant present on item 11, 12, and 13? Seeing none, staff will go ahead and trail that for a little bit. We'll move on to item 14. Applicant, please come forward. Item 14, RQR 26303, applicant Clear Channel Outdoor owner Carr, Jerry, and K and James N. required 5-year review for an approved special use permit U011097, which allowed a 40-foot tall, 12-foot by 24-foot off-premise advertising billboard sign at 2111 Western Avenue.
Chairman, Commissioners, the staff report provided in your backup indicates a staff recommendation of denial because there was no record of a final inspection of the billboard when the reports were printed. However, the applicant has since provided the necessary documentation, and staff is now recommending approval of this review with the deletion of condition number 6.
Thank you. Applicant?
Good evening, Rod Carter, 2880 Mead Avenue, on behalf of Clear Channel Outdoor. We concur with the revised motion, and I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience for or against it, please come forward.
If I may, just one moment, Mr. Farlow, I want to check. Has the submittal been to the building department, and the building department has accepted it and entered the final?
Yes, they have.
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Are they keeping this nice? Has anybody inspected that?
Yes.
Commissioner,
We'll close the public hearing. Comments from the applicant?
the pictures that are depicted on the monitor are not the correct pictures of the actual billboard. They, I believe...
So Whoopi's not on the billboard?
Whoopi is not on the billboard. The pictures that I have right here for the overhead are the pictures of the actual billboard. I don't know if you can see them that well, but... And to answer Mr. Todd Farlow's question about maintenance, we have this on a 30-day power washing schedule to keep everything up. We're doing our absolute best part that we possibly can. So,
Okay. Hopefully we'll get the picture next, the right billboard next time. Any questions, comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion on item 14.
I'll make a motion on item 14. RQR 26303, move for approval, subject to conditions.
That would be with the deletion of condition number 6.
Amended to delete condition number 6.
Motion on the floor for approval with the amended condition. Please cast your vote. And that has passed.
It goes to council May 7th.
thank you. And just so you know, North Carolina won 68-47, and Xavier's got 10 seconds left, 79-75.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm glad you made that report after the vote. Thank you.
That still won't help you on your next billboard. Item 15, RQR 26324, applicant Lionel Sawyer and Collins, owner Fisher's Brother Las Vegas LLC, required review on an approved special use permit U016892, which allowed a 40-foot tall, 14 by 48 off-premise advertising billboard sign at 2900 Cyrus Avenue. Note the corrected APN number is 16-08-702-002.
Good evening, Lucas Tucker of Lionel Sawyer and Collins, 300 South 4th Street. We are pleased to have the staff's recommendation of approval on this item. Fisher Brothers and staff have worked very diligently together to satisfy the prior concern of a final inspection, and we appreciate the staff's work on that matter. We are agreeable to all conditions, although on condition number 5, we have already taken the steps to resolve any pigeon concerns. As you can see, we have already installed some pigeon pans to address any concerns about droppings. These are recent pictures taken within the last few days by the company that installed the pigeon pans. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Anybody for or against this item, please come forward. Mr.
If
Farlow?
I may make a correction for the record, the owner and the applicant are Fisher Brothers LLC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is a 5-year review. Did they wait until the last minute to run up there and put the pigeon pans on, or, that's what I don't like. I want to see the stuff taken care of on the first 30 days, not on the last 30 days of the 5-year review.
Thank you very much.
For the applicant, obviously, you're looking for this board to be extended. Does that mean the projects that were planned along here are no longer moving forward?
Are you talking about the plans by Fisher Brothers?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, they're still moving forward, but in the meantime, while the property is vacant, the billboards are an appropriate use for this property.
Okay, and it still requires here that when the project goes forward, these come down, right? Director Wheeler?
Sorry, we'll need to double check. Hang on one moment. I'm looking at the letter from 2003 is included in your backup documents this evening, and I do not see that condition that was made a part of this in 03. I would look to the city attorney to respond to Commissioner Truesdale's question with regard to an additional condition at this time on the required review.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the question, Commissioner, is can we place additional conditions upon the item when it's up for its required review? My answer is it is the custom and practice of this board and the City Council not to allow additional conditions upon required review. Is that correct, Planning Director?
Yes, but what I would add is that to address his concern in the absence of all of the detailed previous approvals on the site, that it may well be appropriate to add that previous approvals on, or conditions on previous approvals of site plans for the site shall remain in effect, in which case, because I seem to recall that also, Commissioner, but we do not have all of the backup on all the previous site actions. But if that condition does exist on a previous action, then this would not alleviate it, and a referral to conditions of approval of previous site plans remain in effect. We can certainly add that condition.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would also add that our code would not preclude us from adding that condition. It's just been the practice of this board not to add conditions of approval upon this time.
But that's not an add, that's just referring back to an existing condition is what I'm suggesting.
No, I understand. I'm saying, even if we were, I'm saying that our code wouldn't preclude you from doing so, so please go ahead and add that condition or refer back to that condition as you see fit.
My only desire is to remove the confusion between two applications on the same property that tie back to a development agreement or a development approval that I thought required the signs to be removed at such time development took place. And what I was trying to just clarify is if, when we approve this extension, we don't let something slip through the crack and that goes away and we wind up like we have in many different instances, having no recourse with regards to the billboard as development happens on the property.
If I may offer that in a condition such as any existing conditions of previous SDR actions, or rather approvals for the site, regarding the billboard remain in effect.
Madam Attorney?
Sounds okay to me.
Mr. Truesdale, would you like to add that? Or at this time, we'll entertain a motion. Mr. Truesdale, I think you got us into this. Get us out.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the extension of time, subject to all staff's conditions, in comments of the record.
Motion's on the floor for approval. Please cast your vote.
And that's as amended?
As amended.
Thank you.
That motion has passed.
And that also goes forward to council on May 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant Brent or Gary Levitt here on their item? Seeing none, we'll move forward to item 16. SUP 26417, applicant Cashback owner Durango Structures LLC for an auto title loan establishment with waivers to allow a distance separation of 105 feet from a residential use where 200 feet is required, and to allow an auto title loan establishment to be 1,215 square feet where 1,500 square feet is required at the northwest corner of Durango Drive and Centennial Parkway. Staff?
Staff has no basis to support a waiver of the residential separation standard and recommends denial of this request. Additionally, staff notes that the text of the hearing notice incorrectly states northwest corner instead of northeast corner. However, because the correct property is graphically depicted on the notice map, this item can go forward tonight, and a new notice with corrected text will be prepared if this item goes forward to City Council.
Thank you. Applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Scott Sabraw, 8610 Southeastern Avenue. My picture here, we're looking to put in a cashback. And to clarify, this is an auto title loan only. They do not do check cashing, payroll advance, or signature loans, strictly just auto title loans. And they don't take vehicles at these locations. It's not even their habit to do that. They want to work with the customers as much as possible. That being said, it's in a development that is under development right now. It will be located right here, which is about center in this development. Go back to my last page. Although we don't exactly meet the 200-foot separation residential requirement from the actual front door of the cashback to the ingress and egress of the closest resident is about 375 feet. Even if the parcel right here were to develop out, that would be a total of 3 properties within the residential area. We don't believe that we'd be affecting those residents whatsoever. To address the waiver on the square footage, part of it comes down to they initially thought that they had enough square footage, and it went back to the site design review for the plaza itself. There's some confusion, and it falls on us, but in short, we're about 250 square feet short. However, the nature of the cashback, and you can see this is a very typical look of a cashback, the 1,500 square feet is far more than this particular business needs, and the 1,250 square feet will not create a problem as far as backing up any traffic, too many people in the building, and we certainly do not fall into the kiosk-type business. It will be established in the building, a natural suite, and with that, we ask you to approve both these waivers, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience for or against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions from the board?
Could I add one more thing real quick? We actually were required to have a neighborhood meeting for this, and we did on March 5th, and nobody showed up at all. It was just me and the crickets.
Thank you.
I have a question for staff. Do we have the original site plan approval for this site that was the plan that went with that?
We don't have it with us tonight, no.
I was trying to look back at when this project was approved, and I couldn't find anything that showed this building in this location on top of the parking garage. I may be wrong, but I'm just trying to...
Well, it is up and under construction at this point, so that, and I didn't handle that, that's all.
That building is under construction?
Yes, it
Did you
is.
put that rendering you had up?
This one? I'm sorry.
No, the one where you were pointing out where it was.
Yes.
That one.
I think I have some pictures from the backup material in here that actually show some of the construction that's going on currently.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not disputing that it's under construction. I'm
Okay.
just trying to, I went back, tried to look through some information we had when we approved
There
this,
it
and I
is.
couldn't
Okay.
find anything that showed that building. So unless the plan changed, and it's entirely possible it changed and came through, I just had the question.
Okay. It was actually your staff that brought it to our attention that we didn't meet the square footage, so staff certainly
I'm
knows
sure
that
they're
the building was...
bringing to your attention that it didn't meet the square footage as was submitted by your application.
Right, well, but that was based on the fact that they actually saw that it wasn't, when we submitted the application, it was submitted with the proper square footage, and they called us back and said,
You
no,
submitted
it's...
for a use permit.
Yes.
For this use, which is fair.
Right.
But I don't want to confuse, you didn't submit an application for the building.
No, that was done beforehand. But they called us up and said that, no, in fact, your building's not 1,500 square feet. Based off of the original site design review, it is, in fact, 1,200 and some odd square feet.
Well, Commissioner Truesdale, my recollection is the same as you, and I also recall that on the northwest corner across the street from this site, we had a very similar application with waiver for distances and waiver for sizes, and if I'm not mistaken, this board turned that application down because there were so many waivers. And I'm of the opinion that in order for this board to be consistent, or excuse me, for me to be consistent, I would not support that for the reason that we didn't support it across the street. And maybe if they came back to us without so many waivers, I might be more inclined to support it, but as of now, I'm not of the opinion that this should go forward.
Seeing no more questions, comments from the board, we'll entertain a motion on item 16.
Well, since I started this party, I guess I better finish it. Item 16, I'll move for denial.
Motion on the floor for denial. Yes vote is for the denial. And that has passed.
And that denial is final action in the absence of an appeal to the office of the city clerk within 10 days.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Item 17, SDR 26709, applicant Smith Center for the Performing Arts, owner City Parkway 5, Inc., for a proposed performing arts center, including a 2,100-seat auditorium and an education center with waivers of the Union Park streetscape standards, lighting standards, architectural standards, and access requirements at the northeast corner of Bonneville Avenue and Grand Central Parkway. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, staff would like to note that this is a phase project. This is the first phase, the construction of the large hall and education center. The future phases will be approved through future site plan reviews. In addition, this phase has been reviewed by the Union Park Design Review Committee. They've recommended some conditions of approval, and those are included in the staff report. In addition, the waivers that are requested by the applicant have also been approved by the Union Park Design Review Committee. As this is a phase project, the streetscape will also be phased as each subsequent phase comes online. The staff would also like to note that initially the city will be providing a surface parking area for the center until such time as the structured parking is developed on the adjacent blocks. At that time, a parking district will be created, and all uses will share the parking based upon their use and that plan. Staff is recommending approval.
Thank you very much. Applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm Myron Martin. I'm the president of the Smith Center, and on behalf of Don Snyder, our chairman, and all of our board, we're pleased to be here for the first time in front of you to show you our plans for what will truly be a world-class performing arts center, something our community has been lacking. We do appreciate working with staff and the Union Park Development folks, and appreciate their recommendation for your approval. With me today is Gregory Haas, who is one of the principals with the David M. Schwartz design architecture firm in Washington, D.C. They're our design architect for the project, and with that, I'll introduce him so he can walk you through our plans. Thank you.
Mr. Haas?
Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for having me today. Again, my name is Gregory Haas. I'm with David M. Schwartz Architectural Services.
Could you give your address for the record, please?
My address is Washington, D.C. Do you need the actual street address?
Yes, sir.
1848 Calorama Road, Northwest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What I'd like to do is just quickly walk you through the site plan that we're showing here. The center, as it is broken into three main buildings. The large hall, which is located at the intersection of City Parkway and Discovery Avenue. The Education Center, which is located at the opposite corner on Discovery Avenue and Union Park Promenade. And the small hall, which is located on the inner part of the site, fronting on an exterior courtyard. All three buildings center around the exterior courtyard, which is part of the second phase of development of this, which will be presented with the small hall. The service court loading dock area for all three buildings, actually, is located at the intersection of West Clark and City Parkway, is accessed off City Parkway and West Clark Avenue. The promenade elevations are basically developed as a retail series of elevations. The main entrance to the large hall, the courtyard, and the Education Center is off of the area there on Discovery Avenue into the main lobbies of all three buildings. Wow. The parking is generally thought to be to the south and the north in the first and the final phases. We can go to the next board, which shows you...
Excuse me. You said, over here, way over here. You said parking will be in the first and final phases?
The location of the parking. In the first phase, the parking will be parking lots on those lots to the north and the south, and then... I'm sorry, to the east and the west, I'm sorry. And in the final build-out, the parking will be shared with those developments in the same places. Here you can see the architectural model of the project. The project has an iconic tower that sort of grounds the project in in Union Park. As you can see on that shot there, the tower is at the northeast corner of the site. The entrance to the plaza is at the center of Discovery Avenue, and the other two views are showing you views on the left-hand side of the City Parkway elevation, and this view is showing you a view of the promenade elevation, which has the major retail development along the ground level there. These are the design development elevations of the building. The building will be composed primarily out of Nevada metaquartzite, which is a pink rose-colored metaquartzite with a granite base. Some very large buildings, very large windows facing the park. This again is the large hall. This is the Education Center facing the park.
And let me just add one thing. We talk about this being a local stone. We're pretty enthused about the fact that we're using an indigenous Nevada material, and it's one of the ways that we're going to be the first world-class performing arts center of this size and scale to ever get LEED certified, and we're pretty excited about that as well.
Thank you.
This is the City Parkway elevation on the east side of the site, with, relatively speaking, offices on the second and third levels, and dressing rooms and some other entries into the building on the ground level. Again, the Nevada metaquartzite is being used on part of the elevation, and a cementitious plaster that will match the same color of the Nevada metaquartzite on the rest of the elevation. And this is a detail of the elevation on the promenade, which will be the major retail street through Union Park We'll have a high level of retail presence, street trees, street furniture, and this elevation is starting to show you some of the articulation of that. Also, we're showing in a number of these elevations the anticipation of having artwork on the building that will be carved in stone in different places, which is starting to be shown in some of these elevations.
Very good.
And I think that gives you sort of the overall picture of the project at this point in time.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is anybody in the audience for or against this item? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, can I ask a
Commissioner
question?
Steinman.
Thank you. This is going to be phased. Can you explain the timing of the phasing of this situation?
Sure.
We're not going to build a whole thing and then maybe later on we'll start. There's a moving phasing of this thing, isn't there?
At the moment, all three buildings are scheduled to be finished at the same time.
Oh, okay.
The retail building that fronts here would be a second phase, but the three buildings that we're showing on this plan here built out will be finished at the same time.
And why are we not doing the SDR right now on all of it? Is there good reason behind this?
Yes.
Okay.
Originally, these three buildings were going to be phased in three different phases and built at three different times. Luckily, the funding for the project has escalated to the point where they're able to, we believe, build all three buildings at the same time.
Commissioner, I might add that living here in Las Vegas, I never miss the opportunity to thank a local foundation, the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation, who a couple of years ago gave us the single largest gift in our state's history. It was a $50 million lead gift for this project. And you may have read in the last couple of months, they've stepped forward and said, we so want this to all happen at one time, that they gave us an additional $100 million to help us complete the entire project.
So I assume you'll be back here soon.
Yes, sir.
With the rest of this phasing.
Exactly. The small hall and the courtyard are following very closely behind, and they're catching up with the rest of this at the moment.
And may I ask you about why are we waiving lighting standards? Will you explain to me why these waivers are being asked for, please?
Sure. The Union Park guidelines require that there be no or very little uplighting on buildings. And one of the things that we think is important for this building in particular as a civic building, as sort of one of the main hearts of Las Vegas, is that it does have some additional lighting. Now, this will be a LEED certified building, so that in and of itself requires that the amount of lighting on the building is minimized. But we do think that it's important that there is some level of additional illumination of the building because of the importance of this building in the community.
Commissioner, the models that we've looked at, the great opera houses and concert halls around the world, you look at those buildings, and the face of those buildings, these buildings that are built for 100, 120, 140 years, glow at night.
Yeah, and
that's the goal.
We'd be wrong not to make this glow.
Exactly.
Because this is phenomenal, what you've done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Commissioner Evans?
Yes, thank you. First, I wanted to thank you for your commitment to the downtown and to the Union Park area. Yours and the Ruvo Brain Center, I think, have been the cornerstones for what we all believe in the next decade will be probably the most exciting area of our city, and hopefully a catalyst to further development down there. My question was, and you answered it very succinctly, was about sustainability. As we develop these outstanding buildings, that's one of my big issues, is to what extent are you building sustainable architecture? And if you're seeking the LEED certification, at some particular level, is it like silver or gold or?
Yeah, we're not 100% sure what we will achieve at this point. We're hoping somewhere between silver and gold.
Okay. And I thank you for that, too. I think if we want to continue to grow as a city, that's something that we definitely have to look at. And I, too, would thank the Don Reynolds Foundation and Mr. Smith and their family for their commitment to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
I did want to ask about the Art Deco type architecture. I'm thinking that from what I'm hearing, the pictures that you've shown really don't do justice to what your vision is on this. But is there any, has there been any thought to the dramatic difference between the Ruvo Brain Center, the Frank Gehry dramatic architecture next to a much more traditional, WPA Art Deco type building? I mean, I guess part of it is the eclectic nature of that area, but it's kind of almost like yin and yang.
That's what it is.
No question, and there's been an enormous amount of time spent on this particular issue. The board of the Las Vegas Performing Arts Center Foundation toured around the world looking at facilities, modern, traditional, from the 17th and 18th centuries, and what it really came down to was, what is a true contextual solution for Las Vegas. And in looking around Las Vegas, you already have a Paris Opera House, you already have Monte Carlo, and what we wanted to make sure is we were grounding this in something that was truly of this place. And the one thing we felt that what truly had an indigenous quality was the Hoover Dam. And if you go to the Hoover Dam and you look at some of these beautiful 20s and 30s and 40s details that you see in the building, you'll see similarities in some of the detailing of this building. In reference to the question about the dichotomy of styles in a neighborhood, I can only point you to other great cities where you see just incredible different buildings sitting next to one another. And as long as the buildings respect the urban character of the city, they respect the sidewalk and the pedestrian, and they're friendly to the pedestrian, all of these styles of architecture can live together very well, and to some degree, it's something that you strive for in a city, to create this vibrant, difference of scales and textures and colors, and it really enlivens a city if you have different kinds of architecture.
And Commissioner, I might add one thing, because it's important for those of us who live here. We live in a town where we tend to tear our buildings down every 30 or 40 years. And our commitment as the Smith Center Board was to build something for this community that will last for generations. All of the models that we've talked about are buildings that have been up for 100 years or more. And for us to try to put that in a very contemporary context and still say that it's going to be timeless and elegant and lasting for the next 100 or 150 years would have been very difficult. So I think the work that our team has done really has gotten us something that makes this uniquely ours, uniquely Las Vegas, and something that we can, in fact, be certain that will last for future generations.
Thank you. And that leads me to one final question. You mentioned the Hoover Dam and the WPA architecture, some of that, and I recall there's a couple of sculpture pieces out there, the winged, and I've forgotten the name of the caster, the artist. Will this building incorporate any public art or any of those Art Deco type elements in terms of sculpture or public art?
It is our intention that we will. At the moment, we have many, many placeholders throughout the exterior and the interior of the building where we hope to have all sorts of different kinds of public art, whether it's a cast aluminum or cast bronze relief sculpture, or if it's a cast or a carved stone sculpture that's in the facade in different places around the facade. Also, we're thinking of doing some sculpture in the courtyard, and then on the interior of the building, of course, there's lots of locations for artwork that will be integrated into the building.
Thank you. And then one last comment. Again, it's a.
As long as you don't mention the WPA again.
Now, Mr. Evans, if you say one last comment and you ask for another, I'm going to re-roll the tape.
Mr. Reynolds, and I know his estate, they left a good chunk of it for journalism, and they've funded some projects at the National Judicial College, of which I'm alumni of, and some of the projects that they've committed to, in a young community like Las Vegas, we don't have the advantage of the philanthropy of other established, mostly Eastern communities. And the fact that so much of that fortune is coming back to our community, I think, is a real testament to the fact that even though we're young, there is hope. And I think Mr. Smith, from what I remember, I think he lived up in Incline Village, but once again, putting money here where Mr. Reynolds made a lot of money, but putting that back in the community, I would hope that as our community grows, that more and more people who have benefited from the Nevada experience and business, and Las Vegas in particular, will give back in the same way that Mr. Reynolds has, and Mr. Smith as well.
Well, you'd be proud to know that along with the Reynolds Foundation and Mr. Smith, and by the way, Mr. Smith has lived most of his life here in Southern Nevada, along with those extraordinary gifts they've given. We've got now 36 local companies and families who have already committed to gifts of $1 million or more. So to get to your point, Commissioner, we are growing up as a city, and we've got some wonderful citizens that live here that are going to help us provide something for this community for generations. So once again, thank you.
Thank you. We'll entertain a motion. Mr. Chairman.
One quick.
Oh, Commissioner Quinn, my apologies.
Just quickly, on your team that developed this beautiful project, I'm hoping that you had a disabled person to look at this through the eyes of a disabled patron, and it's my hope that there are seats in every price range for them to purchase, and as well as parking when you get to that. It's my pet peeve. It's something that, the Thomas and Mack never thought of until a few years ago, that there were seats for a disabled person to sit on the floor. And so my question is, are there going to be seats available for a disabled person to purchase in every price range? And also, I'm very interested in knowing, being that this is a performing arts center, if you have the TDD phone, the things that the people can put on their ears. So we don't want to leave anyone out in this community, so that's my question.
It's our pledge to ourselves and to you that we're not going to leave anyone out. The strides that this team has gone through for going way beyond ADA has been commendable. And to answer your question specifically, we will have seats in every price range for wheelchair-bound people. We also are going to make it so that they can get to those places.
As well as the concession stands.
As well as the concession stands, as well as the public restrooms.
Right.
And we will have the headsets for hearing impaired.
It's just nice when you build something, you don't have to go back in 5 years and say, oops. Yeah. So, thank you.
We're blessed to have a group like David Schwartz and Gregory Haas who have done these buildings before. I should mention Bass Hall in Fort Worth. It's 10 years old this year, and it's considered one of the greatest concert halls in the world, and it's in Fort Worth, Texas. It was designed by our architect. Most recently, the new concert hall in Nashville, Tennessee, and if you ask someone wheelchair-bound in Nashville if they can get around that beautiful hall, the answer is yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no other comments, I'll make a motion for approval subject to all staff's conditions and recommendations. It's a phenomenal project.
Thank you.
We'll be a greater city for it.
Motion on the floor for approval. Please cast your votes proudly. And that motion has passed.
We'll make you proud.
And this will go forward to the City Council on May 7th.
May 7th. Thank you.
Board, I've just been advised the applicant on items 11, 12, and 13 have requested to obey this item until the April 24th meeting. May I have a motion to obey items 11, 12, and 13 till the April 24 meeting?
I will move to obey items 11, 12, 13, and 14, is it?
11, 12, and 13.
11, 12, and 13.
Motion on the floor to obey 11, 12, and 13 to April 28. Please cast your votes.
Go ahead.
post? And that motion has passed. Item 20, VAR 26862, applicant owner PN2 LLC to allow a proposed 15-foot front yard setback where 20 feet is required at 6613 Sand Beach Avenue. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, this item, this lot was conditioned to be a single-story unit per the approved site plan. The applicant has indicated that they are requesting a variance for their setback from the approved setback standards. Staff cannot make a finding of a hardship and therefore recommends denial of the project.
Thank you. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain on both number 20 and 21. As a member of the board and an officer of Sun City Summerlin, our association involved in litigation with Pulte, so I'm going to have to abstain.
Thank you.
Lane Thompson, 1555 North Rainbow Boulevard. As you can we are trying to meet with the intent of the SDR, and these are on lots 53 and 58. They are the single-story homes that we are required. The only reason we've got the 15-foot setback is because of the knuckles of the road. So if you look on all of those single-story lots that are in a line, the front setback is the same, so from the streetscape, you won't get the impression that those two homes are encroaching closer into the street. The portion that we do want to encroach into that 20-foot is less than 40% of the house. It's a small area. And this is the only single-story model that our client is offering at this subdivision. So that's why we're requesting the 15-foot waiver. Say the driveways are well over 20 feet.
Okay. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience for or against this item, please come forward. Mr. Pardo?
Yes, thank you. Some months ago, didn't we hear something like this before? Is this the same thing?
I don't think it's the same thing, but I do recall the item.
Yeah.
We had a lot of... Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, I've got a comment. I did not see a plot plan for either one of these items submitted in our package, and so I'd contacted Jody Bennett, and then someone from Pulte Homes provided me with plot plans that show how the house is situated on the lot, and I don't know whether I got them. Okay. What I'm going to do is I guess I'm going to submit these to the clerk to make sure that okay. Yeah, if you adhere to what I got from Pulte Homes this week, I would be in support of that. But let's put those on the monitor and let's make sure that everybody's in agreement with that.
Right.
Because if I see something different, I'm not going to support it.
No,
I'll be very honest with you.
And I was the one who sent you those.
Okay, very good.
And actually, that exhibit I showed, the big one, I took these directly off of that.
That's horrible.
So, I mean, they should all be should be the same.
Okay. Then I don't have a problem. It just depends on what the rest of the board decides.
Mr. Rankin, are you? We're doing a comparison on the site plan.
Yeah, yes, the backup does not have a lot fit analysis as part of that, but in reviewing those, we can make these part of the packet at this time.
Yeah, perfect. If we can submit those and make those part of the record. Unless anybody else has any questions.
Make your motion.
I would move for approval on item 20 with staff's as-if approved conditions.
Motion on the floor for item 20 for approval. Please cast your vote. And that has passed, showing Commissioner Steinman abstaining.
And that's final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days to the Office of the City Clerk.
Item 21, VAR 26863, applicant owner PN2 LLC to allow a proposed 15-foot front yard setback where 20 feet is required at 6509 Sand Beach Avenue. Applicant?
Mr. Chairman, this is another lot within the same subdivision. Staff cannot make a finding for a hardship and therefore recommends denial.
Applicant?
That was actually the other plot plan that was shown. Oh, I'm sorry, Lane Thompson, 1555 South Rainbow Boulevard.
So what you just showed was 6509?
What, oh, shoot. I can't remember, I don't deal with addresses, I'm sorry. As an engineer, I deal with lot numbers. One was for lot 53 and one was for lot 58. Actually, it's probably on those plot plans, which address is which.
We're now on Lot 58.
58, okay.
Okay.
And we can show that plot plan.
On item 21, I'll move for approval, subject to the plot plan submitted to the clerk, and on the screen now, is it on the, there we go, subject to staff's as-if approved conditions.
Okay. Commissioner Dunham, I'm going to accept your motion in a moment, but let me go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience for or against this item? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions from the board? There are no comments. There is a motion on the floor for approval of the item. Please cast your vote. And that motion has passed with Commissioner Steinman abstaining.
That's also final action in the absence of an appeal to the Office of the City Clerk within 10 days.
Thank you. Item 22, SUP 26857, applicant Antonio Texteria, owner Leonard and Elizabeth Capri Trust for a proposed 1,650 square foot secondhand dealer at 4331 West Charleston.
Proposed use is compatible with the surrounding development, and staff recommends approval.
Name and address for the record.
Antonio Teixeira, 4625 Providence Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Do you agree with all the recommendations on this application?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody for or against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll entertain a motion from the board or comments.
I'll make a motion for approval to SUP 26857.
Correct.
And good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Motion on the floor for approval. Please cast your vote. And that motion has passed.
And that goes forward to the City Council on May 7th.
May 7th.
May 7th. Thank you. Item 23 and 24 are related items. Item 23, SUP 26866. Applicant is Hae-Un Lee, owner Azure and Tanea LLC for a packaged liquor off-sale establishment on the south side of Azure Drive, approximately 740 feet west of Tanea Way. Related application for a proposed 16,249 square foot retail development, including a 11,924 square foot packaged liquor off-sale establishment. Staff?
In regard to the use permit, this proposal complies with the minimum 400-foot separation requirement from a religious facility, child care facility, school, or city park. In regard to the site plan, the addition of 4 trees in the parking area and 1 along the south property line as conditioned by staff will bring this proposal into compliance with the town center development standards. Staff recommends approval of both applications.
Thank you, applicant. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Ken Small, SSA Architecture, 4630 South Arville.
Okay. You concur with all staff's recommendations?
We do. We concur with all staff recommendations and conditions.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience for or against this item, please come forward at this time. Name and address for the
My name is Michael Hajal, 8512 Copper Mountain Avenue. And I'm the property owner for Celebrate Vitality on Azure, located on Azure Drive and Tenaya Way. And I'm here to oppose the development plan and special use permit for Lee's Liquor Store within Ward 6. And my concern are the following. There is a package liquor store on the northwest corner of Azure and Tenaya, and there is an approval for another package liquor store on the southeast corner of this same intersection. And is it absolutely necessary to have another major package liquor store within the same vicinity? I am a father of 2 young children. Our house is within 4 miles of the proposed site, and my property is about like a couple blocks away. We chose this area because of the family-friendly environment. By concentrating the area with liquor stores, it diminishes the meaning of family-friendly. If I was informed of the future plans of this area, I would not have invested in this part of town, nor chose that to raise my children here. Bringing more children-friendly businesses to this area would be very beneficial. Please consider my opposition to these plans. And I also have a letter from Dr. Khoury, who is the owner of Chiropractic for Life, also a couple blocks away from this area. And she's saying, my name is Dr. Shadia Khoury, and I am the owner of Chiropractic for Life, located in Ward 6 on Azure Drive between Tenaya Way and Sky Point Drive. I specialize in pediatric and prenatal chiropractic care. It has come to my attention there is a proposal for a discount liquor store to be built less than a half a mile from my office. I'm requesting the plan not be approved by the council. Please consider the implication and the effect this store would have in our community. And there's some reason for that. Packaged beer and inexpensive liquor is more tempting to the underage population, the homeless, and the less than reputable populace. 60% of my practice consists of pregnant mothers and their children. I also am a mother of 2 youngsters. I have concerns as to the constant exposure to the product sold and possible types of clientele in relation to a discount liquor store, not just for my family but also for those under my care. This area is a very family, children, and professional business-friendly environment.
I'll give you about another minute to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
There should be consideration to keeping this neighborhood family and professional business-oriented. As a professional business owner and purchaser of my location, I intend to permanently remain here. If I would have been privy to the plan for the discount liquor store, I would not have made the investment in this area. In addition, the discount liquor store vendor already has a location within the same zip code, less than 3 miles away from the projected proposed site. Unfortunately, there is already a convenience store gas station approved for the same corner. They will most likely be selling alcohol. There is no need for a liquor store right next door. Thank you for your consideration in this matter.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Sir, would you like to leave that letter with the clerk so it is on the record? Just hand it to her. Mr. Small, any comments?
Yes, of course, we're maintaining the distances that the community has decided are appropriate from other liquor stores. Mr. Lee has been a long-standing respected member of the community, and of course, we're very interested in the community ourselves. I should note that this is a particularly unique site. If you look at the board here, this area here is actually a pedestrian pathway, a walkway, That's a park-like setting, that's a part of this property, and so the way it's being developed is significantly better for the community than other properties that he could have selected. I'd also point out that the nature of the center that we're in, we're actually only seeing about half of it here because it goes out to the left-hand side beyond here. But this is the type of center that you're looking at. It's a commercial center that's a standard commercial center. We're nowhere near any schools. It's an attractive-looking earth tone building that I'm sure will be respected in terms of the relationship to the other buildings in that community. And I'm sure if someone drives by it and they choose not to go in it, that they wouldn't be offended by it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the board?
I've got a couple of questions. What are your hours of operation? Mark?
9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
7 days a week?
Yes.
I have to tell you, I got 36 emails that came across my desk. They were in opposition to this from the people south of you. Just real quick, in case some of those folks are watching tonight, it's from the Miles, Hunter, Embry, Pridgeon, Miller, Bagwell, Medina, Moses, Shields, Lemetris, Hurley, Pisciotti, Anderson, Morris, Sutton, Lyon, Doak, Florence, Breedlaw, Bantam, Gibson, Wagner, Bantam, hit Bantams twice, Meade, Kiefer, Bisbee, McLean, Herman, McCullough, Stewart, Lang, and Coburn. I know that when we approved I believe it was called Vino across the street, we restricted the hours, and I believe they were not till 10 o'clock, I know for sure, and I know there was no business on Sunday. I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time with 36 emails and, again, that many telephone calls hitting my desk from constituents in that area to support this at all. And I think I need to submit these to the clerk so that they can at least, if this goes forward, this can go to those oppositions can go to city council, however this thing goes. But with that much opposition and you not having a neighborhood meeting, and I'm not going to support this at all. I've got to support those people in that area. They're very vocal. Thank you for being so. That's what we want to hear. But it's going to be tough for me to support this at all with that much opposition.
Thank you, Commissioner. Did you guys elect just not to have a neighborhood meeting because it wasn't required, although staff encouraged it to?
Yes, it wasn't required, and actually we had no indication of any concern or interest from the neighborhood up until arriving here today, so I wasn't aware of it. I guess we could continue this and have a meeting with the neighborhood if that's the recommendation of the commission.
Okay. Well, let's ask a couple more comments and questions, and we'll see. Commissioner Truesdale?
I had a question for staff, because I was looking at this plan, and I'm having trouble finding out if the parking counts, since, I mean, it's like what the parking requirements are for the building compared to what is provided. I mean,
We're not requesting a waiver of the parking requirements, sir.
I know you. I didn't see one in here. I'm just trying to understand the density of parking as it relates to the larger box and the inline retail. And in one regard, I don't have a problem with your use. I understand the concerns of the neighbors. I think limiting the hours is appropriate. I just have looked at a couple others of the locations that you have in the valley here, and some of them are parking challenged. So I just wanted to, they may have gotten waivers or not, I just wanted to make sure that we had appropriate parking on this site.
A lot of the buildings that he has have been in place for quite a long time, and some of them have been subject to condemnation on the frontage that they're on, and some of them were developed earlier when the parking requirements were less.
Mr. Rankin?
Now, also on this elevations you have here, at least when it comes up on our screen, they show some, what looks like flags or something on at least the drawing that keeps popping up. Are those just detailings on the top there, dimensions?
Yeah, those are oral notations of identifying the height of the building and so on.
Okay, I just didn't want 3 cell towers on the building there.
Right. It's just calling out the materials.
Mr. Rankin?
Mr. Chairman, in regards to the parking, the Lee's discount, or the liquor establishment requires 65 spaces. All the parking on the site is parked as a shopping center. That's 1 per 250, 1 space per every 250 square feet. Let's see here, the inline varies in number of spaces. The largest one appears to require, looks like 106 spaces for the largest inline building. So the parking around the liquor establishment is approximately 65 spaces.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this all parks with cross parking and...
Correct, it does.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Evans?
Yeah, just my recollection of this particular business is that they really do run a good operation and with a great selection of wines and spirits as well. I suspect that as people get these notices in the mail that say off-site or, liquor, that sends up red flags, and you probably didn't do yourself any favors by not meeting with the people who were most impacted by it. And now, you're indicating you feel somewhat blindsided by the opposition, but I think that's the consequence of not having the communication. In reality, there's not a single thing that you sell in that store that isn't sold in every Albertsons, Smith's, Vons in town, and yet you have substantial opposition because I think the perception is people see, a liquor store where, people are going to be hanging out in the parking lot with brown bags, and that's not been my experience with Lee's, but you really did yourself a disservice in not having a dialogue. Thank you.
All right. So would you be willing to hold this item and conduct a neighborhood meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Dunham, would you like to?
I guess on item 23, I would move to hold for 30 days with the condition, with the understanding that you're going to hold a neighborhood meeting and contact me
Yes.
so that I can attend that meeting.
If I may, if the Chairman and Commissioner Dunham, if you wish to have him do so, he can go through our regular practice, and then we'll inform the Commission and do the mailing through our regular neighborhood meeting practice.
Is 30 days enough?
Yeah, 30 days would be enough. 2 weeks would not be.
I understand that.
Right, so
Okay, I just wanted-
4/24, I think, if the applicant contacts staff this week, we can help you with explaining to you the process, and we'll go through the regular
Okay,
process.
so my motion would be for items 23 and 24 for a hold for 30 days.
Motion on the floor, please cast your vote. And that has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for that
Thanks till
consideration.
April 24th.
Item 25, SDR 26819, applicant owner Cox Communications, Inc., for a proposed 5,400 square foot second-story addition to an existing utility installation at 3850 North Tenaya Way. Staff?
The proposal is compatible with surrounding properties, and staff recommends approval.
Applicant?
Good afternoon. I'm Winston Henderson, architect with Henderson Architects, 1555 East Flamingo, on behalf of the applicant, Cox Communications. This is the completion of a building that was initially planned to be a two-story building. We're now adding the second floor. We are not requesting any waivers or variances of any type. We completely agree with staff recommendations and ask for your approval.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience for or against this item, please come forward at this time.
My name's Mark O'Rourke. I live at 7132 Tropical Island Circle, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89129. When the Famillion brothers developed this shopping center, this is a single-story community that I live in, right there across the street. Cox Communication, when they first came in, they were going to put up a two-story, but then to get the shopping center off, they said, no, we're not going to put up the two-story. It's blocking views of, my view of Sheep Mountain, which I used to have excellent view. If they go up with a two-story, I won't be able to see the fireworks being shot off from Santa Fe Hotel. They said they were going to have cameras up here. It was going to discourage a lot of crime. And since the shopping center has been developed, we've had more crime in that area. Just beyond this street, right on the other side, they had a car that was hijacked and stripped right there in the middle of the street. So I oppose this. My neighbors oppose it, and I would hope you would oppose it too.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Comments or questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would you like to comment?
Just want to make a comment that we do comply with adjacency height limits, and again, we are not requesting any waivers or variances for height of any type.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion from the board. 25. Would somebody like to make a motion, or
Yeah, I'll make
representative from Ward 4?
I'll make a motion, please. On the
Mr.
matter-
Steinman?
The matter of agenda item 25, SDR 26819, I'll move for approval subject to conditions.
Motion on the floor for approval. Please cast your vote. And that motion has passed.
And that will go forward to the City Council on May 7th.
Thank you very much.
Next portion of the agenda is citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. We are now open for public citizens' participation. Seeing none, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
It's up to you. There'll be a big crowd there.